Hey. I am your humble host, Fizz and Music. This right here, Urban Politics, where politics lives. I want to thank all of you out there for liking and subscribing. If you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe. Tell a friend. Tell a cousin, tell your mom to like and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Urban Politics. With that said, let's jump right into it like a car and drive because there's all types of tasty and delicious politics for us to sink our teeth into. Let's go ahead and get right started with it. Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer, retiring. President Joseph Biden says he's going to make good on his promise, on his campaign promise of electing a black woman to the Supreme Court. Let's go ahead and run through this list real quick. D.C. Circuit Court Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. She went to Harvard and she went to Harvard Law School. California Supreme Court Justice Leandra Kruger. South Carolina U.S. District Court Judge J. Michelle Childs. Sherilyn Ifill, who's a civil rights attorney. Anita Earls. District Judge Wilhelmina Mimi Wright from Minnesota. Circuit Judge Eunice Lee, a former New York public defender. Circuit Judge Candace Jackson Aquemi, excuse that, I'm probably messing that up. She's out of Chicago. Circuit Judge Holly A. Thomas, who is a civil rights advocate. Federal Circuit Court Judge Tiffany P. Cunningham, the first black judge on the federal circuit. Ariana J. Friedman from Philadelphia, who's a public defender. Melissa Murray, a New York University law professor. And Nancy G. Abudu, a voting rights expert who works for the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is a place that like tracks neo-Nazi groups and stuff like that and white supremacy groups. So that's huge right there. As you can see, that's about 12 sisters, all poised, all have the credentials, all have the intellectual prowess, all have the political prowess to take this seat on the Supreme Court should it be offered to them by Joseph Biden. So whenever stuff like this comes up and they're always like, well, we didn't nominate or hire a person of color because there were none that were qualified. That's garbage. Get that out of here. We didn't nominate or put up a woman because there were none that were qualified. That's garbage. Get that out of here. Here we have 12 black women who all of these women, if they wanted to, could handle this Supreme Court justice job and do just a beautiful, outstanding job of it. So I like the fact that here's our list. You know, a lot of people are saying, we just want the most qualified person for the job. Okay, that's the point, but all of these people are qualified and they happen to be black women. You know, so I like the fact that, you know, Joe Biden, he didn't shrink from it. He didn't run from it. He was right out there open with it. He said the person that I give this position is going to be the person most qualified. They're going to have the credentials, but they're also going to be the first black woman to ever hold a position on the Supreme Court. That is major. That is needed. You know what I call that? Progress. If you call yourself wanting this country to progress, which is move forward, we need to move forward on things like this. We got Sotomayor, you know what I'm saying? Spanish lady on the court. So now it's time for a sister. It's overdue for a sister. So finally we'll get a sister on the Supreme Court. Like I said, Joseph Biden, he did not shrink from that. He stepped right up and said, hey, my man stepping down. Next will be a black woman. You know what it is. Hats off to him. I love to see that. Like I said, I call it progression. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about another big lie. Now, we're all very well aware of Trump's big lie about how this 2020 election was stolen from him, right? But this is another big lie that you've heard all your life. I've heard it all my life too. And I went round and round about different students that I've worked with back in the day. You know, they get a little older and they get into politics and then they hit me up on Facebook, hit me up on Twitter, and they ask me questions about Social Security income and all this other stuff, right? So let's talk about it. SSI, you'll hear from a lot of conservatives that it's an insolvent program, a drain on the national debt. They say that it'll be bankrupt by 2050. I've heard this. I've heard conservatives say that to me. You know, that Social Security will be bankrupt by 2050, that program. Social Security is paid by payroll tax levied on employees and employers. If you got rid of it, that money would go into the Social Security Trust Fund. So it has nothing to do with balancing a budget. So if you eliminated Social Security, that money would not go into the general fund to reduce the deficit. So there it is. So if you got rid of Social Security, it wouldn't go into the general fund to reduce the deficit. It would go into this Social Security Trust Fund. So it still wouldn't even go towards getting rid of the deficit. So why they always try and make a correlation between the two? Yeah, we could go ahead and lower the national debt. We need to get rid of some of these entitlements. First one that needs to go with Social Security. Now, why would they call that an entitlement anyway? Because I sit here and I think of an entitlement. When I hear the word entitlement, I think that whoever is using it or is involved with it must feel entitled to something, right? So I looked that up. Entitlement. First of all, entitlement is the belief that one is inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment. Inherently deserving. Now, inherently just means, hey, I breathe air, I walk around with two legs, ergo, I should get this special treatment. Inherently. You know, but that's not what's going on with Social Security. And I got this quote from Mr. Ronald Reagan, the Republican god, right? And he even said that no, this is paid by a payroll tax levied on employee and employer. So if it's a tax that you get and that your boss gets that goes into Social Security, you know, how is it something that you feel like you're inherently deserving of? You're not inherently deserving of it. You're deserving of it because you paid into it. And I tell people all the time, that's the reason I pay taxes, right? I don't pay taxes so that some, you know, congressman or woman can walk around and make $175,000 a year for voting yay or nay on some legislation they're probably going to have their staffer vote on. And anyway, that's not why I do that. I do that so that when people fall on hard times and need a government bailout and need a government to help them, to support them, then my tax dollars can go towards that. Hey, I might even be that person sometimes. Sometimes it's not my mother, not my father, but it's me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. I hope that when I'm standing in the need of needing some help, some support, that the government comes to see about me because of my tax dollars, because of tax dollars that other people have put in to that system. Ergo, it's not anything that I'm inherently supposed to get support from, but it's something I've paid into. You know, I deserve to get this support. But isn't it interesting how Republicans always frame it as an entitlement? People feel like they're entitled to this thing. Even when they talked about the American Care Act or Obamacare, as a lot of you know it, that's what they called it, an entitlement. And they said once that entitlement gets put into the system, you won't be able to get rid of it because Americans love entitlements. It's not an entitlement. It's not an entitlement when you pay into it. If I pay into it, how's an entitlement? It's something I'm deserved. You know? So you got to watch yourself with that lingo. But that's another big lie that they've been perpetuating. And I don't want to hear that anymore. And I used to talk to like my father and other, you know, like older Americans, you know, like some of my friends' parents and stuff who are receiving like SSI right now. And I'll say that, yeah, you know, a lot of Republicans talk about how that's an insolvent program and it'll be dried up by 2050. There won't even be any more of that. And they always say the same thing to me across the board. There's like, hey, look, they've been saying that since I was your age and much younger. Social Security ain't going nowhere. So it's just another talking point that conservatives use to talk all that bull about the deficit and all of that garbage. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about Russia invading Ukraine. Now, Russia's been doing this thing. Why? Because they know they can. Vladimir Putin, he knows he can. Listen, first of all, what really ticks me off about this whole thing, before we even get into talking about Vladimir Putin and how he's been, just basically having his way with the world because of what he's done to America, let's talk about how the U.S. fast-tracked $400 million in aid to help with Ukraine defense. $400 million, right? These people have been running around here belly aching about giving the American people money for anything, for infrastructure, for roads, for anything. But y'all come together in a bipartisan manner, mind you. This was bipartisan. That means Republicans and Democrats came together at breakneck speed to get together $400 million to help Ukraine. Now, I'm not hating on Ukraine. Okay, Ukraine is probably a member of NATO, or they've been pushing to make them a member of NATO. They're a sovereign country. They need protection. If we got money, we do have money, we give it to everybody else anyway. Why not give them somebody to defend themselves? I'm not hating on them. I just don't like the fact that our Congress was able to come together in breakneck speed with Republicans and Democrats that quick to come up with $400 million for Ukraine, but y'all can't get together on money for the American people? Y'all can't come together in a bipartisan manner to vote for Build Back Better for the American people? Think about that. And if that doesn't make you mad, then you're not paying attention. But that is what it is. So there's that. Putin is doing this now because he knows the U.S. is particularly weak right now. Why? He was instrumental in weakening it. He knows America's weak right now. He knows half of America thinks that Joe Biden is not the legitimate president. So he's having his way with America right now. He's having his way with the world right now. We were one of the superpowers, if not the only superpower, who probably would have stepped up and tried to stop him. And he knows that. And he's taking care of us now. We had an idiot orange guy try to run for president. He helped that guy become president. That guy became president. He weakened our country. And now Vladimir Putin is being about his business. And his business is trying to bring Russia back to the full flavor and full power of the KGB. That's what he wants to do. Because he remembers when Ronald Reagan crippled Russia with the Cold War. And you can go ahead and do your Googles and look all this stuff up. I know plenty of y'all are way too young to know what I'm talking about. But Ronald Reagan, he won that Cold War. And you know what I'm saying? And Putin's never got over that. Putin is a real life thug. He's smart and he has endless resources. What you gonna do with that? Here's a guy who comes from nothing. He's killed people. He's murdered people. He's done all types of ruthless little gangster stuff to get the power he's got. He ain't letting it go. He ain't letting it go. You know what I'm saying? And Vladimir Putin, he's real with his. He's real with his. Listen, off the record, I had heard, you know what I'm saying, from a person who doesn't even get into politics, but they had told me about how they heard a story about how Vladimir Putin got some young girl pregnant and said there's a baby, and then guess what? Then you just didn't see the young girl or the baby ever again. Nobody knows where they're at. Just haven't seen them. Not saying that they're dead. They don't know where they're at. They're just gone. That's the type of money Vladimir Putin has. He literally makes problems go away. Just go. Nobody knows where this young lady or that baby is. Now, I don't think that he's done something crazy like kill his baby, his mama, and his baby. I don't think that happened. But you know what I do think this happened? He told that woman to shut her mouth. He got her and that baby tucked away somewhere, and he got the kind of money to where they can just live somewhere and grow up somewhere, and no one will ever see about them or ask about them, and this just goes away. It's the kind of guy you're dealing with here, though. If he got a problem, he can just disappear it. He got that type of money, that type of power. So it is what it is. And like I said, is he having his way with, the world? Of course he is. One of the few superpowers that would have stepped up against him was America. And we've been crippled, and he helped cripple us. He's just a smart guy, and what they call Trump, a useful idiot. Vladimir Putin, when he saw a useful idiot, boy, is all over it, and boy, did he use that guy. And boy, did he do a number on this country. So as far as all of this stuff goes, like I told a conservative friend of mine, we'll probably just have to watch him do it. What we gonna do? Ain't much we can do, because we hurt right now. We're hurt. Half of Congress thinks that Joe Biden isn't legitimate president. And even if they do, they're scared to tell their constituents that they do think that he's the legitimate president because they're scared of losing votes because they're scared of the Trump base. So we're in a bad way in this country, and Vladimir Putin knows all of that. He orchestrated it on high a couple of years ago. When this orange doofus named Trump was running for president, he knew to go ahead and get it in, and he got it in, and he got it off. TI is what a TI is. Moving on, one of the last points I'm going to make before I get to my IPA of the week, I want to talk about Joe Biden, how for a while there, they had a rallying cry on the right, this Let's Go Brandon stuff. I talked about it on the show. Happened in a NASCAR event, blah, 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 blah. If you're interested in that, go ahead and Google that or whatever. But I thought that was kind of dying down because it is silly, it is stupid. But come to find out, I was watching this rally that Trump was speaking at, and they were, screaming at "Let's go, Brandon." They still on that, and Don Jr. was talking about how it was a cultural phenomenon. I don't know about a cultural phenomenon. I only hear it when I'm, checking out, a rally that his dad is doing or something else on the right or whatever. I don't hear anybody on the left or anywhere else ever talking about that "Let's go, Brandon" crap. So that is what it is. But with that said, a good way to remember some of the accomplishments of Joe Biden is this way. Number one, B, broadband. That is one thing that, you know what I'm saying, that infrastructure bill that did get passed, that did get bipartisan support. So that means Republicans and Democrats signed on with this bill. It got bipartisan support. Broadband is bringing that. We need that. Years ago, even Barack Obama said it doesn't make any sense that you can go to almost any McDonald's and get Wi-Fi, but we don't have it in every high school in America. So with this bill, Joe Biden is making sure that that happens. Broadband internet in every high school in America and everywhere else in America that needs it. Rails. Man, we got trains, hither and thither. We got Amtrak. We got all that type of stuff here in America. They're going to redo these train tracks. That's a huge thing. That's a big thing. People need that. Airports. People go on and on about how some of our airports look decrepit. LaGuardia. I've known for years that people were afraid to even take planes out of LaGuardia. I've never taken a plane from LaGuardia. But I heard that in LaGuardia you'd be on a plane, and then I guess the strip that you take the plane, it ends at a certain point. It drops off into the ocean. So I guess there have been planes that didn't, you know, before they could make that takeoff or whatever, they fell off into the ocean. That's downright terrifying. So to think that that's been going on, this will help that to not go on anymore. Not saying that was super commonplace, but you hear about it all the time. I've heard different rappers talk about how I catch wreck like the planes at LaGuardia. Well, that's where this is coming from, because a lot of those planes, before they could take off, they call wreck, falling into the ocean because they didn't make it. So it's good. And then they just said that LaGuardia is just decrepit. Like, you know, they said it just looks like some third world country type stuff. It's just not a good looking airport. So it's good that there's money to go towards fixing that type of stuff. Non-gas vehicles. They were saying that a lot of our mail trucks, a lot of our garbage trucks and such will get off of gas and be electric cars. So that's huge right there. We need that. And a lot of these vehicles that get use every day, that help people with their everyday stuff like removing of trash or delivering mail, why would that vehicle not be electric? You know, we don't want to be dependent on gas and coal for vehicles and stuff, especially those type of vehicles that get used all day, every day. Why are they not electric? So this is bringing that on. Development of mass transit. We need that. I'm sure wherever you live, there's a bus system. You know, a lot of times there's an elevated rail system. You know, you live in Chicago or places like that. Sometimes there's an underground rail system, like, you know, like there is in New York or LA. So all of that stuff will be getting some much needed upgrades. That's a huge part of infrastructure. We need that. People use those things to get to work every day, right? So if your elevated train isn't working, if your bus system isn't working, people don't get to work or they don't get there on time or whatnot. So it's good that this, you know, that's more money that he's made available to take care of things like that. Our roads and bridges. Not too long ago, I think a couple of days ago, there was a bridge in Philadelphia that collapsed and killed some people. It hurt some people. So, you know, and then there's been bridges here, you know, in Ohio, where I'm from, that have collapsed and killed some people, hurt some people. So that's a shame, you know. In one of the richest countries in the world, you know, we have bridges that collapse and people die just trying to move commerce, just trying to move hither and thither, just trying to go from point A to point B. You done died in the mix because our bridges are decrepit, because bridges haven't been worked on since the 1900s. That's pathetic. So Joe Biden, you know, looking to change on that. And last but not least, no lead in our water pipes. That's huge. We just went through all this stuff. You know what I'm saying, with the lead pipes in Flint, Michigan, and you know, there's a lot of kids there who are going to be born or have been born or have to live with these side effects from lead poisoning and stuff like that. We don't want any other kids in America to ever go through anything like that. So it's good right there. We're getting all these pipes switched out with pipes that don't have lead in them and stuff like that, so our drinking water can be a little bit better around here, you know. So, I mean, those are all good things. And if you put it all together, Brandon, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. But when I see this, I'm like, let's go, Brandon. Well, it looks like Brandon is already going. He's going real hard despite a whole lot of Republican obstruction, right? So that's interesting right there. You know what I'm saying? And all of this stuff, he's already brought us. This was a bipartisan bill. It did get signed. It did pass. We are getting these things, but it takes time. It's going to take time. You know, you'll see people working on the lead pipes. You'll see people working on the airports. You'll see people installing broadband internet. But it's going to take time. It's not going to be anything that's, you know, quick or anything like that. It's not going to be fast. Nothing around here is ever fast. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be slow, but it will come to fruition. And that's all things that Biden brought us. So, let's go, Brandon. Yeah, that's a good way to remember all the good stuff that he's brought us. With that said, moving on to the last segment of my show right here, we're going to talk about my IPA of the week. Now, this IPA of the week comes out of a place, Goose Island Beer Company. They're from Chicago, Illinois. I love Chicago. Love Chicago. Peace out to my peoples in Chicago. I got people in Chicago from the Wild Hunnets. Some Wild Hunters from the Wild Hunnets. Them is my boys in Chi-Town. So what's up? You know what I'm saying? In this place, Goose Island, it is in Chicago. And this is Neon Beer Hug. Now, first I looked at that and I was thinking it was Neon Bear Hug. Because as you see there's a bear on there, right? And he's wearing those glasses looking real cool. And I thought it was Neon Bear Hug. Now I was like, no, that says beer. Neon Beer Hug. So that's real cool, and I like how that was a play on a bear hug, a beer hug. And they said it's 10,000 volts of flavor. I would agree with that. 10,000 volts of flavor. That's exactly what it is. It is a delicious little IPA, 7.0% alcohol. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. You got a little bit of money in your pocket. You want to run on down to the store and get you a Neon Beer Hug. Neon Beer Hug. Like I said, 7.0% alcohol. A lot of beers are 5.0% alcohol or 5.5% alcohol. But this right here, 7.0%. You're going to feel this. It says born in Chicago, 1988. Oh, that's interesting. So I think 1988 is probably when this Goose Island Beer Company was created. I've had a few other beers from Goose Island. They're pretty good. But you know what I'm saying? Chicago, represent. Beer Hug from Goose Island. Neon Beer Hug. That is a good little IPA. Let me tell you what this is. There it is. Oh! That's my time, ladies and gentlemen. What can I say? This has been Urban Politics. I have been your humble host, Fizz and Music. If you like what you're seeing, please like and subscribe. I want to thank all of you who have been liking and subscribing, leaving comments. Please leave a comment. If I ever say anything and you think to yourself, that guy's talking out of his butt, he don't know what he's talking about. He's dead wrong on that issue or whatever that he brought up. Always know you're in the pushback zone. Give me that pushback. You know what I'm saying? I live for pushback. I really do, because that's how I learn things. So when people disagree with me, I hear your disagreement. Maybe I agree with it. Maybe I don't. But I get a lot from it. I get a new understanding. I get a new perspective, a new way of looking at things. I learn a lot. So it's a great thing. So always know that you're in the pushback zone. You can always push back. And yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? There's not much more to say. Urban Politics, where politics lives. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, see you around like a donut.